Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Funk. I'm Leon Thomas, and I'm joined by Johnny Maloney and Austin Yorsky, and I just want to talk about She-Ra. So
She-Ra.
That's not the only thing you want to talk about, I'm sure.
There's a bunch of things that we can talk about. I definitely want to talk about She-Ra first. I know Austin definitely watched it based on his tweet. Johnny, did you watch She-Ra?
No.
It's okay. That's okay. We can definitely talk about it, and I know you don't care about spoilers, but we can definitely talk about it in vagaries, because it's just so beautiful in an emotional way that I don't even, that's what's going to come out of my heart right now. So anyway, this isn't like a spoiler or anything for anyone listening. This is just like the premise, but there might be spoilers. If you're uncomfortable with that, just skip ahead. But anyway, She-Ra is Adora. She is a young woman who works for the Horde, and the Horde is sort of like a vague, menacing empire in the land of Etheria. Their ideology is unclear. There's nothing very specific. Like you know how like the Empire in Star Wars, they're given like vague Nazi overtones so that you associate them with the Nazis, but they don't often say we're just in it for the whites. We just kind of get that impression about like who they are through like imagery.
If your faction is called the Horde and your main city is called the Fright Zone, I think you might be on the bad guys team. That's just like that skit with the Nazi skulls.
We've all seen that skit, right? From the British show where they're like, "Are we the baddies?"
Right. Well, that's sort of the thing. The Horde are so obviously coded bad, but Adora doesn't see it that way. It's kind of like America. So
we're on 2 minutes in, boys.
So Adora,
just drop us in the deep zone there.
It's fine.
Leon.
It's fine. So Adora gets woke because she meets two friends, and then she finds a magic sword, and she becomes She-Ra. And every episode is Adora and her friends Glimmer and Bow searching for other princesses in order to join a princess alliance as a kind of rebellion against the Horde. And Adora...
She gets radicalized by like gay Antifa in episode 1.
Right. It's very
quick.
Can I just
say right here that my barbershop quartet when I was in middle school was called the Princess Alliance?
I believe you.
I hope that's true.
But yeah, the show is very good. I love all the characters, including all the bad guys. That's hard to do, but the show makes the bad guys... I shouldn't say this. The show doesn't make the bad side sympathetic, but they make some of the people on the antagonist side interesting or layered or adorable. They don't try to both sides this. Hordak is definitely evil. Bo mentions this in like the second episode where Adora is still figuring her shit out, and Bo is like, "You're in the evil Horde. What did you think?" But yeah, Hordak is just straight up chaotic evil. But the other characters are like mixed and confusing. I should just talk about all the characters, but I feel like I have been talking a lot. Austin, I know you've watched it. What did you think about this great show that's perfect?
I mean, She-Ra rips shit, first of all. That's my review. Rip shit, 10 out of 10. I think we need to go back to the beginning, because I grew up with He-Man a little bit. I don't actually have strong memories, but my adopted father insists that I really liked He-Man as a kid. I don't remember this, but that show sucked ass.
Okay.
Let's be clear. Most shows in that era, which you are not from, did suck ass.
Absolutely. It's a suck-ass time of suck-ass shows, and She-Ra is a suck-ass spin-off of an already suck-ass show.
Yeah.
So it's a prime candidate. We talk a lot about remakes, right? People ask us all the time, what should be remade? What shouldn't be remade? And we always say, remake bad stuff with potential, not stuff that's already good. She-Ra is perfect because it sucks. It was made to sell toys to girls.
I mean, it wasn't even made to sell toys to girls. It was like, well, I guess we have toys for guys. So
Yeah, it was like we have a leftover mold of a woman's body. That's why in the original She-Ra, all the female characters had the exact same body type because it was just one toy mold.
Yeah.
And they put different hair on.
Yeah, in fairness to the people who worked on He-Man and She-Ra, I did watch a documentary about the creation of both of those shows. Clearly, a lot of thought was put into it, especially marketing research.
Yeah.
but also like just speaking, you know, as someone who remembers it a bit and who has seen bits and pieces of it, just, you know, through that documentary, it was not a good show. It's not that they didn't try, because clearly, you know, the voice actors did their best, and the you know the animators, you know, could draw and stuff, but
not
but
in motion.
But the shows were not very good, and I'm sorry, and like Austin said, that's just true of just about all shows from that era. That's all there is to it. There were
that fucking one scene where you get like the main character running at the camera. I mean, come on, like anybody who's watched He-Man or She-Ra knows that where it's like, instead of them, you know, doing something, you just run at the camera, and then they're somewhere else.
Yeah, it was cheap as fuck. People who like love He-Man always kind of like bag on the live action movie, like this isn't the real He-Man. Yeah, because it was kind of good. It was
like, oh man, Dolph Lundgren, fucking like,
yeah,
Tom Paris.
People, you know, shit on the movie because, like, look, in a way, that is a really shitty movie. But at the same time, it is also, like, so much better and more interesting and better produced than the television series. And that movie lost its budget before they finished it.
It's my jam. Like, that movie is all up in my Ginch.
Okay, I dig it. But anyway, yeah, but like Austin said, the things that should be remade are the things that, you know, had potential, but just due to the limitations of the time or budget or any other concerns.
Voltron, as She-Ra's predecessor, is a perfect example.
Yeah, they share some stylistic and like tonal similarities too. I like them both, and one of the things I think I actually give the edge to She-Ra in is that this isn't just a remake of a bad old thing that's updated and good. It's specifically like, let's give this bad thing to a bunch of queer people and let them have something for once. Because this is a Noelle Stevenson run show whose work I wasn't familiar with, although I was filled in by Dice Funk co-host Lauren Morgan. Lauren says hi, by the way, guys.
Hi, Lauren.
She is a big fan of Noelle's other work in comics. She wrote something called Nimona, and she worked on Lumberjanes, which I'm only sort of familiar with. So, I mean, if you actually look at like the credits of She-Ra, it's basically all queer women, and it's just like, we want to make the kind of stories we wanted to grow up with.
Yeah.
Not the stuff that was made to sell us toys, but I mean, the core conflict in the She-Ra show is that these two girls who love each other so much end up on the opposite sides of a conflict, and every scene with them is so fucking juicy because at any moment they could stab each other, they could confess their love, they could start making out and then fucking stab each other. You never know. It's just there's so much emotion in every scene, and it's like, oh man, the people who made this cared so much. They just poured everything into it, and it's like, I wish I grew up with shows like this. It's like, we got some good stuff, but nothing with this much passion behind it.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say all of the characters are my favorite, but my favorites are Glimmer and Mermista.
I was expecting you to say, because there's two characters in here who are just
and Seahawk.
Yeah, I would say the two characters in here who are so Leon are Ronaldo and Violet Skittles Unicorn from Dice Funk are just in this show. Two of Leon's fucking characters.
Yeah, Seahawk is basically Ronaldo with a little bit more morals. But definitely so Ronaldo if you were watching like a PG cartoon. And Horsey, who eventually becomes Swiftwind, is basically Violet, but is also like our revolutionary horse. So I'm into that. I'm excited to see where that goes. In what I'm desperately hoping is a second season.
Swift marks up in this bitch.
Very good.
I like that title, A Revolutionary Horse.
Yeah. It is. Again, like, without spoiling everything, like, the horse is basically trying to overthrow the system.
The horse is woke. The horse is like basically just gritty. It's amazing.
Right. So he's trying to they're trying to throw the yoke.
I get it, because a horse.
But besides the people I talked about, my favorite characters are Glimmer and Mermista. Glimmer, I like just a sidetrack here before I talk about Glimmer in general. I like that there is a diverse body type thing going on in this show, where not all of the characters, again, look like the mold, but also just not like all the characters look exactly like rail thin. Like, some of the characters are just heavier, and some of the characters are just weird looking, and it's fine. Glimmer is like a little chubby, and she's also just has a lot of like teenage kind of rage going on, but she directs it well. I like her a lot. She's wonderful.
Leon,
Mermista,
you're not my real dad.
It's fine. Mermista is so good. Like, she's just a meme.
She's just a meme.
She is. Everything she says is very what people think millennials are like. But are definitely are some. So I'm really into like her whole thing. I think she's great.
It's a great ensemble cast, because you see, they're making a show called She-Ra. I guess it's going to be about the character She-Ra, right? But she's the main character, but she shares top billing, definitely with Glimmer, definitely with Bo, definitely with the other princesses and stuff. It's like everybody's putting in serious work.
Yeah. Catra is her, the aforementioned, like, nemesis, who, like, used to be, like, her friend. They go through some things. There is a scene on a cliff where I was dying, because, like, I've seen this, like, cliche, like, I'm holding you over a cliff moment from the villain and the good guy kind of thing. But because of everything that's built in all of the episodes prior, I was like, no, this can't be happening. It's amazing.
There's so much chemistry, like, more than I've ever seen between two humans.
Yeah, Catcher is great. The other bad guy, I guess you could say, characters are also good. Scorpia is wonderful. She's very tall. Let's say
she's just Zarya from Overwatch. She's just a big gay scorpion.
Yeah, she's cool. Kyle is a character we only get him in like 2 scenes in 1 episode, but I already love him so much. He's a Horde soldier and nobody listens to him, I guess because he's kind of scrawny, but I think he's in love with Bo, and they had a moment, and I don't know.
Well, he might be in love with Bo, but he also has a lizard boyfriend who's doesn't actually get a name in the show, but
what I want is for Kyle to join the good guys in season 2, but maybe he's conflicted. I don't know. I want more of Kyle. Just every character is great.
Can I read you some DMs I got last night?
Go for it.
Here, around I was 3 a.m. Lauren Morgan, friend of the show, DM me on Twitter. It says, watching She-Ra. Yo! Next message. Damn it, Kyle! And then I responded, he's doing his best. And then she responded, I love him already.
Right.
Next message, Bo's crop top is very important. Next message, all caps, Catra sleeps at her feet. That's so gay.
The show...
here's another one.
I'm sorry.
All caps, the lizard patched up Kyle. I hope they're boyfriends.
Right.
It's just like goes on like that for hours. Here's another one. All caps. The lizard just picked up Kyle and carried him away. I'm 100% convinced they are boyfriends.
I must have blinked and missed that part. All right, well, I'm going to rewatch it before the second season anyway, so I'll look for that. Shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry. But, yeah. No, it's okay. And I just remembered. So some of the characters have like coded relationships, but here's the thing. It's not a show that's dancing around whether or not anyone might be gay. It's a show that's dancing around whether or not anyone is even straight. There are no explicit romantic relationships. There's just a lot of like close friendships and dancing. But there's like, even at the prom, everyone just goes with their friend. It's not, so it's like, I like that some things are kind of open to interpretation. I would appreciate if the show goes on, there is a little more like explicit stuff that like, hey, this character is definitely queer, because we don't want a Voltron situation.
Yeah. I mean, Natasha and her girlfriend are just a couple. They just are. Like, that's not even subtext.
It seems that way. Yeah. Anyway, it is a very good show, and I love it so much. It's everything right now. And all I want in the next few days is for Netflix to say, okay, we are doing season 2. Because usually they're pretty quick about explaining that they are going to keep going with the series. I don't want this to be over. Hopefully,
we didn't even talk. We talked about the characters and like the gender stuff and all of that, but we didn't actually talk about like the story or anything. Like, it's a really good kids action show where like they go around and meet new characters, and there's like some really cool fight scenes, and like it's good besides all of our like liberal propaganda. Like, it's actually just straight up good as well.
Oh yeah, the characters and the plot itself are in fact well done. The action scenes are pretty cool. I care about everything that's happening on the show. There's a lot of deep lore.
Deep lore. It's just because like the first time I heard of this show being like brought to Netflix, like the thing everyone was talking about is like the character designs, and all these straight dudes were like, "Oh, she's too masculine," blah blah blah. It's like that's always been like the thing people are talking about. Like, is the show like
I can't
SJW
fuck a
stuff?
Cartoon?
Yeah. So I just want to say, like, even if you don't care about all that stuff we said, it's just a good show, like, regardless.
It's very good. I'm invested in everything that's happening. We didn't say much about Hordak, but that's because Hordak is not like, I mean, in the way he's the antagonist of the series, but in another way he's not, because we only get a few scenes with him. He's mostly off to the side or on a television screen. There are very few face-to-face Hordak moments.
Yeah, he's the Emperor, and right now Katra's Darth Vader. So.
Yeah, basically that's what's going on. So I'm into that.
Yo, Katra, go throw that bitch down a fucking mine shaft or whatever the fuck. That's gonna rule.
Yeah. Shadow Weaver, we didn't even mention her. She's also very cool. I'm into her whole I'm an abusive mom, and we need to and everyone needs to destroy her, even the bad guys. So like I'm about that.
I know that she's she's a character from the original She-Ra show, but it very much was like, oh, they're doing the Voltron thing of like evil emperor, magical witch person who's the second in command, who has a tie-in with one of the main characters' backstories. It very much felt like going through the Voltron stuff, and then the way they did it was so much better. Like, I like Voltron, but I felt like every time there was a comparison, She-Ra came out on top for me.
Yeah, someone tweeted me and says, what's better, Voltron or She-Ra? And I'm like, it's too soon. There's like 8 seasons of Voltron. I have a lot more. I'm invested in it even more just because of the length of it. But, we'll see at the end of She-Ra, if it goes on a while, where, I'll get back to that tweet in about 5 years. So we'll see. But yeah, She-Ra, I'm into it. It's very good, and everyone should watch it. Even if you don't like traditionally watch kids cartoons, you can't tell, but I'm finger quoting here. There's just too many shows that are kid friendly but are completely good for adults, and this is one of them. There are some shows that are just Veggie Tales, and they're explicitly not only for kids but only for kids. This is just a show that you can watch with youngsters, but is totally okay if you're not. It's just really well made. So yeah, that's it. I don't know.
I do like that there's only two men. There's only, I guess Kyle will say, there's like two main male characters in Seahawk and Bo. And it's like, now everyone talks about toxic masculinity, but let's give it some positive masculinity here. Fucking Seahawk and all of his fucking confidence, just getting out there, just doing your thing, and Bo just being the best possible twink he can be. And we should all idolize them and work to be more like Bo. Yeah. Just good boys.
Yeah. If I have two more things to say, and then I'll shut up. One, I love the theme song. My head bops a lot when it starts. And then, but the second thing I want to say, I guess if I only have one criticism of the show, is that I want more songs. We got one song, and it was Seahawk's song, and it was very good. I was all over it. But then when it was over, I'm like, oh, cool, maybe there'll be more songs, but there weren't. So I'm hoping there are more songs. And that is like the tiniest of criticisms, to say that a thing that maybe I hoped would happen didn't. But everything else was good.
Yep. So we're 20 minutes in. Apologies if you didn't care about that, but we had to do it. We had to do it to him.
Yep. I have a couple other things, but if someone else would like to jump in.
Johnny.
I watched the new Coen Brothers movie.
I stopped watching it to record this.
I'm going to watch it shortly thereafter. After we do this episode.
Poor man, Austin.
Yeah.
Oh no. Why?
'Cause it's good.
Yeah, it's an anthology. I'm two stories in out of 5.
6
5 or 6. Okay, so I'm two out of 6 in. It seems pretty silly so far.
So you got the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yep.
And the bank robbery one. Is that right?
Yeah, and James Franco gets owned. I believe the second one.
I'm sorry. Like, I know that James Franco is a skeeve, but looking over to his buddy and saying, "First time," is just like amazing work.
For context, he's being hung. He's like at the gallows, and he turns to the guy next to him and goes, "First time?" Like it's very silly. So tell us about this thing, Johnny, because I forgot that it was coming out. Like I knew the Coen Brothers had a new project; they usually do, and then it only recently was reminded that it was on Netflix already.
Yeah. So
a lot of promotion.
If you're going to do spoilers, and that's totally okay. If you're going to do spoilers, I'm the opposite of Johnny. So I would like either.
This is the thing, Leon, is that it's not a cohesive project. It's 6 short stories.
Okay.
All about the West, basically.
I get
and, they vary in theme, but they are also focused in this very one way. It's very good.
Thank you. Good. I'm excited for it.
It is a beautiful movie, and it made me like suddenly appreciate Netflix in a new way, because while watching it, I knew that no major studio would have published it.
Yeah, it's super weird. I think the easy comparison would be like it's like True Grit meets Burn After Reading, because those are 2 Coen Brothers things, and it's a Western and a slapstick black comedy. Like that's the easy thing.
I felt
but
like
it's just weird.
Did you ever see that? Fuck, what was it? The movie where Tim Roth plays like a bellhop.
Yes,
Yeah.
4 Rooms.
4 Rooms, yeah. Yeah, it felt to me like True Grit meets 4 Rooms in a certain way. They're not tied together as stories, but they are individually impactful, just like final, so well done. Like it's such a shame that the short film doesn't get as much exposure as the feature length, because each and every one of those 6 stories that's in this 2-hour movie is so good that it could stand on its own. And it doesn't have to be longer.
The thing is, like, Four Rooms isn't good. It has 4 different directors for each of the parts.
Yeah.
And it varies wildly in, like, tone and style.
Some
and
of them are good.
I just looked it up. It has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, which feels about right. This, though, since it's all Coen brothers beginning to end, even as it changes theme and idea and stuff, there's a consistency to it where I still feel like I'm in the same world.
Yeah.
I've only watched 2 of them so far, but like both of them had this consistency, even though they were different characters, different tones. They had almost like different styles almost. I don't want to get too much in there, but it's like, this is the same movie though.
The first one and the last one are wildly different.
Yeah. But I mean, I love Coen brothers. I'm predisposed to enjoy this, but it's very good. Also, Four Rooms had Tarantino on it, which I think we've all come around on that guy recently. And in hindsight, it's like, oh, was he ever good at making things? I really hope that the Coen brothers don't turn out to be shitty, because I don't want to have to re-examine my love of their...
They are a little. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
They are a little. I don't want to get into why, but yeah, I'll just a tad.
Oh.
Not like beating women on the set kind of shitty, but like, yeah, we don't need to get into it right now.
Okay.
Ow.
Damn it. But yeah, I'm gonna finish that as soon as we're done recording.
Cool. I'll definitely have watched it by the time we record again, and then I will say cool. And here are spoilers.
And
maybe.
we'll all beat the table and be like, "Yay!"
All right.
And then
That's how it's gonna be.
afterwards, oh.
All right. These are some sounds. So I have a couple other things, but Austin, if you have like a thing that you would like to do, we can also do that.
Yeah, I think I have a pretty quick one here. I watched the final season of House of Cards, which is a show that still exists.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to pedal up that hill.
Yeah, I mean, longtime listeners will know that Leon quit like 2 episodes in because there was a gross sex scene, and
less than that. It was the one episode I watched.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough ride. The series has pretty much consistently gone down in quality. I really much I enjoyed the first season a lot, second season a little bit less, and so on. It's just been a pretty steady decline. And then Kevin Spacey was exposed as a monster and fired, and then the show kind of had to write him out. And it's this. If I was going to summarize this, I would say it's better than I expected, but still not good.
How'd they write him out?
So in the last season, it ended with him, having his plan come together, and then this season starts with and then he died. Anyway, I mean, they do.
Sorry,
it is still important. There's a couple of different ways they could have done this, right? They could have just had him disappear and never brought it up and just been like, "Oh, that guy, yeah, he died. Fuck him." Or they could have had the entire show be about his death, and they kind of split the difference. Like, it informs a lot of stuff.
I just like the way you expressed it.
A lot of the season is about like trying to live in the shadow of a monster, which is kind of metatextually clever. It's being like, does any good we can accomplish matter if it came from that poisonous tree, And I think some of that stuff works. What doesn't work is that they have to find a narrative focus for all this unplanned material and then tie it up, and it feels pretty rushed, and they have to introduce a new antagonist, which is just like this super mega business guy who is just like, one of my favorite parts is he's like, we have to do an evil plan, and then he stops, turns to the camera and goes, man, I just love states' rights. And it's like, okay, fair enough, I guess. But it kind of works in that a lot of the subtext is like, Claire Underwood doesn't get any respect as president because she's a woman, and people constantly underestimate her. And even though she has the entire might of the United States government, she's powerless against corporate interests. And I think that stuff could be a show. But as like the last season of this show, that was something else. It's a little weird. And I mean, I think we all like Robin Wright. She is a good actress, and she does her best. I just don't think it's enough. It kind of reminds me when we talk about Infinity War, where I was like, there's too much in the script. Making a good movie was impossible, but they made the best movie they could, and that's kind of the House of Cards. It's like, hey, you want to write the last season of a long running show, but the main character is going to disappear. We can't show him on screen. We can't even use clips of his voice when his audio will is an important plot point. It's so many constraints on it, and they salvage it into something that when I watched it, I said, okay. I was like, fine, okay. But I wasn't thrilled. And then there's another shadow even above Kevin Spacey, which is the original British House of Cards, which this show's like 30 years old. So I'm going to spoil it now. Skip ahead 5 seconds if you want to know. The original British one ended with Kevin Spacey's character dying, the British original, with that equivalent character dying anyway. That was the end of the original House of Cards, which I felt like they were building up to anyway. So it's almost like they moved the ending to the beginning of the last season. And so they had to kind of flip the arc from the downfall of this person dying to them dying and what their fucking reverse chronological downfall is. It's extremely weird. But with all that said, like, there's a couple of things in it that I felt were worthwhile. Mostly the character of Stamper, who was always a standout, and like where he ends up is probably the most interesting thing the show did. Like that's the beginning to end through line, not really Frank Underwood for me. And it's just like something I felt like I had to sit through because like House of Cards was the breakout Netflix show. It's like an important milestone in like, I don't know, film or whatever. Like we're gonna look back and be like, you know, the early talkies, the sound pictures, and then the blockbuster era of Jaws, and then there was E.T., and then Netflix came out and they had House of Cards or whatever. So I'm glad I watched it all.
And suddenly they got the Coen Brothers.
Yeah, I wonder. It's probably too early to say. Like, I wonder how many people actually watched that, are going to watch the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Now we talk about it, like pretentious dicks like us are of course going to flock there, but do like the people who watch Orange is the New Black also want to see a Western black comedy anthology?
You'd better.
Okay. So yeah, House of Cards, it's not good, but they tried, and I thought there was some interesting things in there.
All right.
Yeah. I could go on, but that's probably all you need.
Okay. All right. I read a book, and I want to talk about it a little. So I read a book called How to Fight Presidents by Daniel O'Brien. People might remember Daniel as someone who worked at Cracked before he was sent his way, as well as a bunch of other people.
Do you know that Daniel O'Brien now works at Last Week Tonight?
I sure do. Yeah. Yep. I liked Daniel's work at Cracked. He was probably one of the only reasons to go there, honestly, especially towards the end.
Someday they're going to make a movie about Cracked and like how like a whole generation of up and coming comedy people were like on fire and then all got laid off as the internet consumed culture.
Yeah.
I like Cody Johnston.
Yeah.
Is that
Social Network?
Is
too.
that okay?
Sure.
Some more news.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I like Daniel's writing style. I think he's funny, and I was just sort of under the impression that, you know, he's got a good head on his shoulders too. So that makes me interested in someone more. So I finally read his book, and I hate it. Basically, it is the premise of the book is that all American presidents were awesome and badass, and that even the 2 or 3 that Daniel says were personally unpleasant were still basically rock stars with gigantic balls. Everything is said in kind of like hyperbole. So he doesn't really mean that every time George Washington won a battle, his dick grew 3 sizes, which is not in the book. I made that up to illustrate what every line in this book is like.
It sounds like he's trying to be Sean Baby, fellow Crack contributor who writes exactly like that, and I super love it.
No, the humor The humor writing of the book is not the problem. It's the thing. Daniel has like his fascination with presidents is genuine. He has like an obsession with presidents that dates back to his college days. He loves them very much, and he's also trying to be funny, and he is funny, but he's also spending an entire book skirting around genocide and war crimes. He speaks very favorably of Manifest Destiny in a way that is super uncomfortable. He mentions one president is bad because he approved of slavery.
Which one?
I don't even remember. Not even none of the ones you're thinking of. But he ignores
George Bush, the senior.
Give me
no. The point,
all of them. Austin.
Oh my God,
all of them.
The point is, he ignores the actual slave-owning presidents that came before that president and every other president since who also approved of slavery. There's just a lot of grandiose dick polishing and kind of endorsing, I guess you could say. He also reinforces the sort of great men model of history, which is history, which is, yeah, it is. It's a model of history that's like taught through the eyes of like generals and conquerors.
I was literally going to say, when you started describing this book, this sounds like a book written by the villain of Dice Funk Season 4, whose entire motivation was the great man theory. Like, there are just certain people who are very important, and we have to let them do what they want, because that's how history happens.
Okay, I don't listen to your show anymore.
I know, that's what I was going to say to the audience. They know.
But that then you know that explains it even more why this book sort of bugs me. Part of it,
Johnny.
Sorry, I can't stop.
All right,
we've lost him.
Part of this is just Daniel trying to be funny, and he is funny, but he also comes across kind of naive and insensitive. I'm not his dad, so he probably does not care that I'm not mad but disappointed in him. But still,
I'm sure he's heard worse.
Yeah, I know. I don't hate the man for doing it. I just find the things he's saying to be not the things that should have been said.
Remember when BioShock Infinite came out and the fact that the city of Columbus worshipped the founding fathers as religious figures seemed like ridiculous? Those are good times. Anyway, America.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So the only Okay.
Sorry, I'm dying of laughter.
It's fine. That's not a bad thing to die of, I guess. The only good thing that has come out of this experience for me is that I now have an idea for my own book, which is basically subtweeting this book. It's going to be called "All Our Presidents Were Bad," and I probably won't write it, but like I keep thinking about it. It's the most I've ever thought about wanting to write a book since I tried when I was very young and didn't like doing it.
Real reckoning with America's legacy would be A, extremely depressing and unfunny, but also B, extremely monotonous, because you just have to keep repeating, like, and then structural inequality meant that a mediocre white man got more power than he probably should have, and then he used it to make life miserable for a lot of people. And we think he's good because he was powerful, and his name comes up a lot when you record events factually.
Yeah. I don't know if it's even going to be a comedy book. It might be.
Have you guys seen Some More News with Cody Johnston?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's my favorite cracked alumni.
Yeah. They added some good people, and now so anyway, that is what I
Yeah, it's also just peak liberalism to just be like, America is awesome, it kicked ass, except for the 2 or 3 bad things. Like, until Trump, America was dope. And
God,
it's like,
I hate that narrative so much.
Yeah, it's basically just a symptom of the same kind of exceptionalism and chauvinism we've always had, and a lot of the problems in the world and the problems in America are the same problems we've always had. It's just now we have to admit it.
As a Canadian,
we can all see it.
Fuck both you.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah. Anyway, look for my book. All Our Presidents Were Bad. Sometime in the future, I guess, maybe. But yeah, it's not the only reason I want to write this book. I've been thinking about this, doing something like this for a while, because every time this kind of like a view of history just keeps happening into my eyeballs, and I would love for there to be like an accessible record that is the opposite of that, and there kind of are. There are a few books out there that are like that. Like I think there's one called Lies My Teachers Taught Me and things like that. Mm-hmm. I just want there one to be very specifically about American presidents, to not only as like a counter to like why they're thought of this way, but also as a counter to the whole great men model of history in general.
Right. But Leon, you're assuming that Americans read books.
I mean, there's a cottage industry in podcasting specifically of those kind of like stuff you missed in history class, and like those, just like weird historical stories and stuff. And it's like a bunch of more nuanced takes of the things you learn in history, which are just trying to get idiot slack-jawed children to recite basic facts, right? Like any time you dig below the surface, it's just nothing but horror and genocide and global war. But no one wants that, I don't think. Or like the mass market is not exactly thrilled about that. I know sometimes we bring up politics on this show and it bums our audience out. Can you imagine having to truly reckon with all of the horrors America has wrought?
Dude, I just made an episode about why Wes Anderson's movies are a little problematic, and a lot of people freaked out. So yes, I understand that talking about anything even mildly uncomfortable will get some people upset.
Yeah, Austin, why don't you talk to us about Law Corner?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, why isn't She-Ra more feminine? Come on.
So, someone, by the way, someone just commented on my video and says, "Why do you have to insert politics into this?" And first of all, like, that's bullshit. I'm not inserting anything. It's already there. I'm just explaining it. But that's the weird thing. Like, we're talking about a book about politics and like some other things about politics, and people are still going to be mad that we are inserting our politics into this politics talk. It's a lot.
Leon, why do you have to be political about politics?
Right, exactly. God, the more I think about it, the more I want to write this damn book. So we'll see about that. I sure do have a lot of other things to do, though. So I have a couple other things, but if someone else would like to take the baton, that is also fine.
Johnny, you got anything?
I've had some time to listen to the albums I talked about.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a ringing endorsement.
Dan Mangan has killed it.
Good stuff.
It really is. Austin, you heard it?
Yep, listened to the whole thing multiple times. Actually, when it was uploaded to YouTube, I was the first view on the album. I was there, number one.
Did you say first, Austin?
No, I took a screenshot and I was going to post it, but then I realized it was creepy. So I deleted it.
That was a good instinct.
Yeah.
It is fucking amazing. Like, it made me look back on 2018 and just think about the music we got. And I'm blown away. It's such a good album. It's so focused. It's like I have trouble talking music commentary because I like, obviously it's subjective, but god damn, that's an album. And On the same day, Spencer Krug released a new Moonface album, which is like 90 minutes long. And it kills me. I'm overwhelmed with music right now.
Well, at least there's that.
They are both so fucking good. This year has been a banner year for music for me.
Nice. I'm glad it's been a banner year for something. That's my thing.
Look, you won the house, okay?
Okay, I did. That was me.
No,
cool.
you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Fuck you, Leon.
Yeah. All right. I have one more thing, and then we can do questions because we probably won't have that. Wait, well, we might have a little more time before that. I drove to Philadelphia a couple days ago. Wait,
yeah.
No, yesterday.
Did you tell them to go fuck themselves?
We told them a lot of things, including go fuck yourself. Basically, the Proud Boys, which is sort of like a fashy street gang, and the Three Percenters, which is literally an armed militia group, and various other like undesirable Trump-y kind of people decided to hold a big white people rally, as they have been known to do. But here's the thing about these rallies. There's more and more resistance to them, which means fewer and fewer of them show up. And that is what we were hoping for. Only about, I think, 17 of the country's many, many more creepy people.
And the Cavs refused to take them home.
Yeah, they showed up across the street and were protected by many, many police officers.
Gee, that's weird.
We, the people who don't like Nazis, were hundreds, and it was kind of cool. We basically just we were simply the opposition. They were exercising their rights, and so were we. We just happened to be many, many more of them. One of them decided to get a little frisky and crossed over and came into our side. I didn't see it happen at first, and then someone shouted, "There's a Nazi!" And then we looked, and there one was. And, you know, why bother? We were not threatened. There were literally hundreds of us, and there was only one. But we did surround him, and until the cops came over and escorted him away, because he was not supposed to be there. That's the agreement. You have your area, and we have ours. And he left. I got pretty close to him. He was unpleasant. Me and like a few other people, we sort of like guarded the entrance for a little while. And another MAGA hat guy started to walk by. He was very old though. And I was like, I really hope you don't start anything. You're old. No one, no. Don't.
Wait, Leon.
Yeah?
Explain this to me.
Mm-hmm.
A MAGA hat guy.
A MAGA hat guy.
Was old.
Yes, I understand. I'm saying the first one was not. He was about my age. The other one was like 70. He came over, and I could have sort of like stared a hole in him for a while, and then upon realizing what was happening, he put his hood up over his hat, and then looked at me for a little while, and then walked away. Not just at me. There were other people who noticed he was there. And that was the end of that. I stayed for a few hours, and then that was enough, and I left. Not long after I left, their rally decided to also be done, and they tried to go home. And as Johnny mentioned, the cab drivers were like, "Nah." They just did not want to pick them up. So I don't even know how they got home, but they did apparently. They're not still there. So that's and that was it. And I drove way the hell back to where I live. So that was what I did that day. Minor incidents only, I guess you could say. Yeah, that's it. Basically, showing up to counter-protest and confront these people works because most of them get afraid of showing up. Not because we're going to rush them, because there's just so many cops, but just because, like, we're all taking pictures of you. We know who you are, and all of you get fired whenever your pictures go up. Yeah.
Guess what, Nazis? Fuck you.
Those are all the things that I did this week. I also saw
Leon.
Widows. What?
Why'd you have to make it political, though?
Yeah, why'd I have to make my trip to a protest political? Someone in my Twitter mentions, who I didn't even bother mentioning, didn't even bother responding to, said something along the lines of, you decided to yell at people just exercising their First Amendment rights. I'm like, I have them too, though. I can yell. They can yell, and I can yell. Like,
we can't still be doing this. It's been,
right.
We've all had the internet for like 18 years. How can we still have this conversation?
I know. I understand that, and the point is, like, this person is speaking in bad faith. I know that they know they're full of shit, so I'm not even going to respond to them like directly. It's just like, come on, dude, you're not smarter than me about this. You're just not. Okay, it's ridiculous. What do you think I'm gonna say? Oh, good point. Nazis are good. What do you think I'm gonna say? Dumbass. And also, to be clear, when I say that like these people are armed militias, I'm not speaking in hyperbolic terms. I mean, the 3%ers are literally an armed militia. Everything that they are is about guns. The Proud Boys leader literally calls them a street gang. It's not they're not like misunderstood people. They're not like your like very, very, very old Trump supporting great uncle who doesn't really doesn't super hate anyone, but just is kind of ignorant. These are people who are very actively into violence against certain kinds of people, I guess you could say. So no, fuck them a lot. Anyway, that's basically it. That's what I wanted to say. If we have any time, you want to talk about anything else, we can, or we can jump into questions.
Yeah, we still have like 10 minutes before questions, and we are recording this a couple of days later than usual, so some of these questions aren't quite in date anymore, so I don't know how many we'll actually have time to answer. I played a video game that I mentioned last week, and people asked about, so I'll talk about it now. That game is called...
Red Dead Redemption 2 again, Austin?
No, God. Why do you think so little of me? I did finish Red Dead Redemption 2. But
I said nothing.
I have thoughts, but they're all spoilers, so we can't really do them on the show. If everyone finished it, we could do a spoiler cast, but we're not that kind of a show anymore.
We're definitely not.
So the game I played that I want to talk about is called Deltarune. Well, not Leon. Don't Leon.
I have nothing to say for the next however long this takes.
5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
It is a game, according to Toby Fox, that is meant to be played after Undertale. It is not a sequel to Undertale. It is just a game meant to be played after Undertale, is the way he put it. So, actually, Leon, you might have some input here. Have you ever read the Stephen King books, The Regulators and Desperation?
Dude, I read half of it and all of Misery. That is my entire Stephen King experience.
What about you, Johnny? Have you read Desperation or The Regulators?
I believe I've been very clear about how much Stephen King I've read.
Oh, yeah, you read, I remember we had this conversation.
Gerald's Game.
Gerald's Game, yeah. I was trying to think, I didn't want to say Sex Handcuffs, the book.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. So let me start there. Those Stephen King wrote both those books. He released one under the name Richard Bachman, which is like his alter ego. But these two books have a interesting. They're like a mirror universe. They have like the same characters, but they act differently, and they both have like similar premises. There's like this demon called Tack who possesses people, and in Desperation it's a cop, and in Regulators it's a kid, and the characters have to fight this demon thing, and in one book some of the characters die and not others, and then in the other book it's the opposite, so it's like a mirror universe. That's kind of what Deltarune is to Undertale. It's like the same characters, but they act different and they have different roles. It's I can't think of any other examples. I'm sure there's like a term for this, and I'm like it's kind of just like alternate universe, but it's more specific. This technique where it's like in Undertale, like Undyne was like this knight who was defending the underground monster civilization, but in Deltarune she's a cop in an above like ground suburbia, and it's like it is still Undyne, but it's not, and it's I wish I had more examples because it's a really fascinating artistic device, I guess you could say. I can't think of anything else that's like it, but the game builds on the themes of Undertale. Undertale was a game about choice and about how most video games don't give you meaningful choice and how you have to just kill everything. And so Undertale was a game about what if you could interact with things more meaningfully and being empathetic and subverting RPG tropes. Deltarune is kind of the next step, where it says basically like, yes, we should have more empathy. Yes, we should be able to interact with people on a deeper level than violence. Also, some people are fascists and you gotta fuck them up. Like, without spoiling the whole thing, like it kind of draws Undertale's themes into relief and questions all the assumptions the first game made. And it was like, sometimes it'd be like this, but sometimes it fucking don't. And I think it's a really important kind of coda to that story. Yeah. Interestingly, Deltarune was actually thought of first, and it's basically been sitting on Toby's computer for like a decade at this point. And the version he released, which is free, Deltarune is free, is kind of like chapter 1 of a game he wants to make but can't himself because the scope is too large. Like he's kind of planning on making it, and like I know Devolver Digital reached out about staffing up and stuff, so the game might come out eventually. But even as a standalone chapter of like a free experience, it actually has finality. Like there are obviously still things you can explore, and I think the ending sequence is really cool and the potential it exposes. But if no more Deltarune is ever released, I think it's still a worthwhile thing for what it says about Undertale. And it's also just extremely funny. It's a comedy game. There are a lot of like queer coded characters. The music fucking slaps. Like there's a lot of great like RPG puzzles. Like there's a dog who's a checkers piece and you have to make him bow so his crown falls off. Just like goofy shit like that. It has the charm and kind of the main battle system of Undertale, where it's kind of like a shoot 'em up kind of RPG thing, but they've added mechanical complexity, like getting close to the bullets but not touched adds to this meter that you can spend on magic and stuff. But like that's not what you're there for. You're there to like meet Sans, but now he works at a store or something instead of being a goofy forest skeleton. And you're there to meet the new character Susie, who's like a fucking delinquent alligator girl or something. She's great. And you're there to hear the new music, like The World Revolves, which is a fucking banger. And all that's really good. So anybody who liked Undertale will love Deltarune. And if you had problems with the themes of Undertale, you'll be pleasantly surprised to find that Toby Fox also has heard the very important and relevant criticism of what Undertale had to say. And I think it all works. It's all important. So you have to ask yourself if you want to live in a world with more empathy, and also what are the limits of empathy. That's something we talk about in this show a lot. So
what you're saying, Austin, is that my run through of Undertale was correct.
I refuse to dignify your 1/3 of an Undertale playthrough.
The one where I killed everyone because it was right? Yeah. So
I love you both, just so you know.
That's good. Okay. Cool.
I knew it was coming. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
I know. I should talk about a video game real quick. I'm still playing Valkyria Chronicles 4. I love it. It's my favorite game on the Switch so far. The thing about
you just casually said that you like Valkyria Chronicles more than Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. Like that's not a fucking psychotic thing to say. Go on.
Yeah. I wasn't super into Breath of the Wild at all, and I loved Odyssey, but no, Valkyria Chronicles 4 is wonderful, and I love it very much. It's the only game where, like, I'm excited when a side quest pops up. That has never happened before. Whenever that happens...
Is this your first Valkyria Chronicles game?
No, Valkyria Chronicles 1 is one of my favorite games ever. Valkyria Chronicles 4 is also very good. And basically the reason, and when I'm playing a JRPG or whatever and a side quest pops up, I'm like, no, I gotta focus on beating the game. Now, this is the main thing. I don't want to play this for a year. But with Valkyria Chronicles 4, when a side quest pops up, it gives me the opportunity to learn more about the many, many, many characters in my army, and I love them. And I was like waiting for like Rosetta's side story to pop up. Like, come on, where's Rosetta's one? And then it finally happened. It was pretty good. She was kind of the third wheel in her side story. Unfortunately, basically everyone in your army has like a side quest kind of thing where it's like three of them or four of them hanging out together. But it's really good. I'm unfortunately at the part where I now need to grind for the first time in this game. I was doing really well. But now I'm like, this tank is hard, so I should just level up my Lancers because they are the guys who hurt tanks. That is what I want to say about that. It's real cool, and I'm into it. When I'm done that, I will play Mega Man 11 because I also bought that. I'm just playing this first. That's it. That's all I have to say about the video games.
All right.
Any questions?
Yeah, thank you for gracing us with your video game thoughts, and now it's question time. First question, Dennis Detlefson on Twitter at Dunzaus on Twitter asks, any thoughts on Stan Lee passing away?
Sad.
Yeah. Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big comic book reader, so I don't have a lot of like in-depth thoughts. Obviously, it is sad. I think maybe
no, his contributions, like I know that people have debated how much he's responsible for or not responsible for, but it's still sad. He was at least partly responsible for modern gods.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to deny the effect he's had on popular culture, and you can not be a fan of that direction if you want, but he seemed to be like a genuinely thoughtful and empathetic person. When he passed, a lot of people were, sending out screenshots of like his, letters from the editor or whatever, where it's just like, fuck racists and stuff. Like his seemed like his heart was in a good place, and it's very much like, oh, the problems with comics are like they're structural behind the scenes of like how things are credited. Like the video game equivalent is like, Ken Levine didn't make BioShock by himself, right? Like,
yeah.
There's like a whole bunch of people who don't get the credit that they deserve, and that's not necessarily his fault. I mean, either Stan Lee or Ken Levine. It's just like it's our failure as a culture to really give people their due for their art.
Agreed.
So, yeah, I think there's a lot of people who have complicated feelings on his legacy, but he seemed to be like a nice guy, and it is sad. So I don't know. Like Leon's our comic book guy, but he's very quiet.
Am I? I read them when I was younger, but I don't anymore. Not for years. I've never read anything that Stan Lee himself has made, but I'm positive I've read things that would not exist without Stan Lee. Pretty much all of Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
It sucks that he's gone, but the dude lived a super long time. This isn't like a tragic passing of like a 30-year-old actor. Dude, he was like 95 or something. He had a long life. He pretty much did everything he could have possibly set out to do. It's sad when anyone dies, but like he kind of nailed it. He kind of nailed it.
Stanley, he kind of nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, what else can I say?
Yeah. Here's one. I don't know if we've ever talked about this before. It feels like something we would have talked about, but Benita Soleil asks, that's at Cortez in Venice, asks, got any cool manly scars? Do we have any scars, guys?
I have lots of scars.
Any cool ones?
I don't know if they're cool, but I do have lots of them. I have one. I'm looking at my hand. I have one on my right hand's index finger knuckle from a soldering iron. I have one on my forehead when someone dropped a cinder block on my head. I'm fine. I
you know what? Honestly, that might explain some stuff, but go on.
Okay. Yeah. I should be clear. No one. It wasn't like Wile E. Coyote where it like landed directly onto my head and somehow I survived. Someone rolled it on top of me as I was hiding under something, and then the jagged part jammed into my forehead.
And then they said, meet, and ran away.
And my head erupted with blood. It was a really shitty thing for someone to do, but I'm okay, I guess. I just have a scar. Someone hit me with a toy sword, so I have one on the bridge of my nose. I have one, I think, right under my bottom lip, and this is going to sound dumb, but it looks like a lightning bolt, so I am the bottom lip Harry Potter. It is hard. All of these scars are kind of hard to see unless you're looking at me pretty close. So although I have been on video, on the YouTube from time to time, and some people I'm sure have noticed at least the one that goes through my eyebrow. Most of them are hard to see. By the way, I have one that goes through my eyebrow. I do not remember where that one came from. Wait, I do. I hit my head on a coffee table as a child. I don't remember it, though. I was very, very young. I was like 1 or 2. Thinking of other ones. Where are my other scars?
If I had bet money who had the most and the least, I would definitely have said Leon had the least, and this is blowing away my expectations.
Yeah. Let's see. Other scars. I know I have more. I can't think of any more off the top of my head.
He's our soft, smooth inside boy. What's he doing out there with all the danger?
These are all like childhood. These are all childhood things, by the way. They're like none of this is like like recently I got in a fight at a bar and someone glassed me for what I said. It's like no, it's like it was just stupid kid stuff. We were unsupervised children running around wild. Me and my friends spent most of our time playing in sewers. Like we didn't have that much money.
What'd you say about Undertale? Bap, bap, bap in the middle of a bar. Just get your ass beat by #1 Sans fan.
Yeah. That's, I have a lot of scars from my childhood. I can't remember if I have really any scars from 18 or older. I'm sure I do somewhere. I just can't think of any off the top of my head. Johnny, you're a bad motherfucker. Tell me about all your scars.
Everywhere.
Awesome. Tell me about it. Is it like Batman?
Well, I've got like a 5-inch scar on my left forearm.
That's bigger than any of mine. Tell me about it.
Well, I made it.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. My bad.
And then, like, when I was a kid, excuse me, I learned that cutting on your wrists was a bad idea.
Yep.
So I cut my legs. My legs are full of fucking scars. I have I don't want to seem impressive, but it's noticeable.
You don't want to seem what?
Scar on my face from when I first started to learn to shave with a straight razor.
Oh, okay. I guess that'll happen.
There are more.
Okay. Yours have like sad stories. Mine have dumb childhood stories.
Yeah, I am cut by sadness.
Mine are all dumb, and they were just I was like 8 for like a lot of it. Austin, do you have something in the middle between Johnny's very sad boy serious scars and my dumb plastic sword scars?
Yeah, come on, Austin. Tell me about how you got punched.
Yeah, tell me about the punches. Tell me about football. Tell me about all that.
I'm sorry if you had money on me being the scariest. I most of my stuff is totally healed.
I'm the scariest. I know this.
I just have my reconstructive knee surgery scar, which is a very pronounced line from it's a pretty large section of my knee.
Yeah,
if you
but
can
it's
see it,
remedial.
it's obvious. Yeah. And then the only other thing I really have left, and it's hard to see unless you know it's there, is when I got stabbed in the arm. And it's like, I have kind of a hairy arm, so you wouldn't even see unless I pointed it out to you. But I feel like I used to have a lot more. But like I'm pretty well healed up from all my childhood shenanigans.
Okay.
So yeah, sorry.
Childhood.
Yeah.
Shenanigans. I just remembered I have a bunch
lucky
on...
boys.
What?
I said, you lucky boys.
Yeah.
Boys.
I have a lot on the left part, like the underarm of my left arm, basically where you get needles in. When I was young and I needed money, I donated plasma, which is now something you could still do. Like even if you don't need money, by the way, go do that. It's super easy and it saves people's lives, and they give you a very, very small amount of money for it. But I did it a lot. As much as I could do it legally, and there's like a little bit of scar tissue on my left arm because that's where I did it mostly, right there. Trying to think of anything else.
Like a lot of the Yorsky boy injuries were teeth related. Like I've had my teeth chipped and knocked out. My brother had all of his front teeth he had them all crunched out of his mouth. That was extremely fucked up. And then that was his adult teeth, and his kid teeth like all got fucked up from some kind of like I'm not a dentist. He had some kind of condition. He lost all of his teeth basically tragically twice.
Jesus.
So, yeah. I didn't witness the crunching injury, but I had it described to me, and like Cronenberg, eat your heart out. Like holy shit.
Do you want to tell us or do you not want to tell us? It's okay if you don't.
I mean, it's. So, are you familiar with a discus?
Sure.
Like in the Olympics, so like the big, heavy like frisbees.
Absolutely.
He was chasing one and tripped, and he had his mouth, like his teeth together, and came down on it.
Oh.
And it just, like, just smacked like the front of a car in a head-on collision. Yeah. So like his front teeth are like fake.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Like I wasn't there, but I had it described to me, and I was like, ah.
Yeah, that's bad. I have a crooked tooth, and I feel like super lucky right now.
Hey, do you see that?
I'm really.
Sorry, I just sent you guys an image.
Yeah. I have seen it now.
Mm-hmm.
All right
then.
Yeah. Sometimes we get dark here.
Yeah.
Hey, it happened. I'm not gonna lie about it.
Sure. I lie about a lot of stuff.
People
don't need to know everything about. I shouldn't say I lie. I mean, I omit a lot of stuff about my life. People don't need to know. People don't need to know all of it. They just need to know the stuff that is okay for them to know.
Look, I'm here for people who are hurt.
No, that's fine. No, that's totally okay.
I just need people to know the stuff which the SEO says will make them watch my YouTube videos.
More or less, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, we went down a thing there. Next question.
Yeah, sure.
Cormac the Knife at O'Sullivan Cormac asks, how unready were you all for Detective Pikachu?
Oh, I was excited. I've never played a Pokemon game. I've never watched a Pokemon show. I am ready to watch this movie.
How are we friends?
I am so good with it, too. Thank you, Leon.
Yeah, I saw the trailer, and I'm like, this is adorable, but also, like, I could watch it. Like, I'm going to be there, opening night. I'm going to watch it. It's going to be whatever. I don't know. It might suck. But
all right. So, Austin... Tell us.
Yeah? Just tell us?
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, I think they're fuzzy and it's good.
Well,
but
me too.
I guess as the resident Poke expert who has played all of the major releases, at least one game from every generation, and I used to play the card game, and I've played all the spin-offs and watched a bunch of the movies and several seasons of the anime. I gotta say...
I think you're unqualified.
I have to say that I think it looks interesting. If you want a more faithful Pokemon experience, there is 25 years of that out there for you. There's plenty of that. So I have no problem with a different take. The kind of gritty noir Pokemon in real life thing. It sounds kind of corny, and I wasn't sure how it was going to play, but I saw the trailer and I thought, that was a clever use of Mr. Mime in that interrogation scene. I thought Ryan Reynolds is a pretty good choice, even though obviously Danny DeVito is my preference. If you have to have a bankable star, I thought that worked out pretty well. I liked Jigglypuff, who was indignant. Everybody who knows Lauren sent her the picture of that Jigglypuff looking grumpy and just like, you. It's just you. And she was like, God damn it, call it out again. It looks like it's going to be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be good, but I think it's a worthwhile experiment with the world's most popular and lucrative property. So if they fuck it up, that's fine. There's literally 30 other Pokemon movies if you want that.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it sounds corny. Like if someone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a dark, gritty Pokemon movie where they're investigating a murder," that sounds dumb in a vacuum.
It doesn't look gritty. It looks about as gritty as Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's fine.
I mean, it's gritty out by Pokemon standards, I guess.
Right, exactly. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit was gritty by Bugs Bunny standards, but
True.
It's like it's clearly a comedy that can be enjoyed by children.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I stand with Leon.
I think I have reasonable expectations. I'll probably see it, and I'm prepared for it to be good or mildly underwhelming. Let's see here. A lot of people asking about She-Ra. We talked about that. Beep, beep, ba-doop, beep, 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 beep. Oh, God. Razekiel at Razumi Yazura asks, thoughts on Toy Story movies still being made?
I thought it was over. I was good with it being over, but fine. I mean, we'll see. I'll watch it. I
mean, you're
look,
famous for your video, which you said all the toys should have died, right? That's your claim to fame.
Like a lot of my early episodes, I sort of disown them. I stand by that one pretty hard. I'm not saying it's still up, but I stand by the opinion that they should have all died at the end. Obviously, that was never going to happen. It was never in the cards. It's just me feeling the way that I do.
I don't care.
The only good thing, for me about this, at least related to Renegade Cut, is that almost certainly I'm going to make a far more elaborate Toy Story video right before the new Toy Story comes out, because I've been sort of, I don't regret my opinions on that in that episode, but most of my early episodes, the audio is just shit, and a lot of it's just shit. It just doesn't look good, and I don't like it being up, so it's not up presently. But I do want to make basically with what I have now, I do want to make a far, far better Toy Story video, and I almost certainly will next year, shortly before it comes out. So catch it, I guess.
I do think it's funny that a new Toy Story trailer was totally upstaged by the Detective Pikachu thing, because you'd think Toy Story would dominate the news cycle, and I forgot, I didn't even remember by the end of the day that announcement was made, because I was just thinking about which Pokemon could be in the movie. I was like, oh, Greninja's in it, so it's not all first gen, but it's mostly first gen. And then I saw a picture of a Snubble puppet that the CG was based on, so he's in there. I was just like, that's where my brain is at.
I don't care.
He just violently does not care.
Fair enough.
It's fine. You don't have to watch it, Johnny. I'll be watching it again, almost certainly, immediately after it comes out, because that's who I am. That's what I do with my life.
Also, it's a major property. They're gonna keep making them until you stop going to see them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of done lamenting the fact that properties are going to keep getting sequels and reboots. It's just I in a way I wish it wouldn't happen as much, but I've just accepted it, and I need to stop railing against it, because there's no argument I could make to a studio that to please stop making so much money.
Until we elect Gritty in 2024 and he does away with copyright law. and it just totally opens up the fucking market.
Right. And I realize that's kind of like a defeatist attitude, to say like, oh, it's not going to do any good to complain. We should complain about the things that are bad. But but here's the thing, like the sequels that keep coming out from these properties and the reboots that keep coming out from these properties, they're not all bad. Their success to failure ratio is probably going to be no, different than like an original property. There are plenty of reboots and reimaginings, like we just talked about one, She-Ra, that turn out really good. Maybe Toy Story 4 will be really good. The first 3 Toy Story movies were good, so I don't have any like belief that this one will almost certainly suck. So I mean, they've certainly worked on it long enough. Apparently, they scrapped their ideas like 2 or 3 times and like started over. So we'll see.
Johnny doesn't care.
Next question, I guess.
Yeah. Next question. Locobo at Locobo4 on Twitter. Have any of you guys used a firearm before?
In Boy Scouts.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Yeah.
Yep. I was good at it. That doesn't, but like some things that I'm good at, doesn't necessarily mean I liked it.
I mean, I'd be pretty good at choking the life out of a human being with my bare hands. I don't think
you're
it should
very
be
big.
legal.
Look, Austin, don't talk about the last time we had sex.
It's private. But yeah, no. In Boy Scouts, they gave me a thing to shoot during a trip. I got a certificate because I shot them I shot the shots near each other. They were supposed to be like, you have to shoot them right there, and then wherever you shoot, you have to shoot right next to it 2 more times. And then if you do, you get the certificate that says you're good at it. And I'm like, I have nothing better to do. And so I did it. I hated that trip. I hated being Boy Scouts in general. But I was apparently pretty good at that.
Me too.
Too many boys.
Yeah. Boy Scouts were shit.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan, but that's my experience with firearms. I think my grandfather had a BB gun that I also used, but like firearms, like in like a range or like owning one as an adult or anything like that. That's just not, that's not it. No.
Yeah, not my game.
No.
Yeah, growing up in the
Yeah.
rural American South, like everybody had guns, and probably once or twice, like I went shooting with people, and it's just not interesting. It's just like I would rather eat a sandwich if I was going to choose between 2 activities to bring me enjoyment.
God, a good Reuben.
Yeah, why would you ever shoot a gun when you could eat a sandwich? That's my fucking platform.
Hell yeah. All right,
Yeah.
Austin,
The thing about
we're making a political platform.
That's sandwiches, not guns. 2020.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll say something about gun control and some guy will say, what do you leftists know about guns? You should stay out of it, stay in your lane. And I think, I have a certificate. But
Also, that's just someone who doesn't really know much about the history of leftist, like, revolutions. Because, anyway.
Sometimes there are guns. I just don't want. sometimes there are guns, but generally speaking, I would like guns to be that there to be more safety and more control, so the bad things don't happen.
Historically, we're a bigger danger to ourselves on the left when it comes to guns and in fighting than we are to the fucking people we should be fighting. But that's another story.
Do you figure? I mean, like, speaking as a Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Do you figure?
Okay. Also, historically speaking, guns are more of a danger to ourselves just by owning a gun. You're definitely more likely to hurt yourself or someone you love than like a random scary intruder.
Yeah. We don't even need to go over the talking points. If you're not convinced at this point, you're willfully ignorant, or you need one to hunt because you live in rural Alaska. And those are the 2 fucking positions that you can have and be still a good person, I think.
Yeah.
You
got to keep the bears away. Like, I get it, but like, okay.
If you need one to survive, I get it, but you're not gonna save the day. Even if you are, for instance, a security guard who stops a robbery, the cops are still gonna kill you.
Yeah, or like a security guard at a school who gets just fucking copped by, a mass shooter.
Your gun fantasies aren't real. They're just not. Anyway, next question. Skeletent Reltnark at darkkent_r, still rocking the Halloween name, I guess. Asks,
it's a lot.
Yeah. Asks, do you hate driving?
I love driving.
No, I mean, I just drove for hours yesterday. So I mean, I don't like look forward to it the way I guess Johnny does. But like I would hate not to have a car, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I guess it's kind of like dumb and privileged of me to say, honestly, because most people, I don't know the exact statistics. But yeah, I own a car and I would hate not to. I had to be without a car when I lived abroad. And just the idea that I couldn't just go somewhere and I needed something meant that I had to plan and regulate my life a lot more carefully, because like, okay, this is the day that I'm going to be out, so I need to do all of these errands, because I can't just pick up and say, oh, I need milk. But I can, because I have a car. It's nice. It's not like a great car. I saved a little bit of money from a job I did, and I bought a kind of, I shouldn't say a shitty car, but like a super used car. But anything that gets me from point A to point B is fine. I don't like love driving. Like, ooh, I'm in my car and it's fast. I just really need one, as it turns out, and that's how I guess I feel.
I like driving. For me is meditative.
Oh.
I put my music in, I play it, and I just go. And that is so wonderful for me. Like, cool. There's nothing more I love than a long road trip.
Damn. Okay. Austin, I know, didn't you recently have to get a car?
I mean, I don't even have a driver's license, dog.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking a little bit a while ago about having to get around and maybe needing a car.
Yeah, I mean, that's a societal expectation, and probably a professional one if I'm going to get a real job, not talking on the internet. But
do you want me to come pick you up?
I have mixed feelings, because I love cars as like mechanical expression, like art. Like, I used to build model cars. I think they're very interesting. I played hundreds of hours of Gran Turismo and always get really deep under the hood in there. I love just like the way I feel about mechs, like Gundams and so forth. I just find them aesthetically pleasing.
By the way, Austin, next week, you're gonna hear me talk about Gundam Unicorn.
Hell yeah, dude. That's on. I think that's on Hulu now.
It's on Netflix for me. So
okay, cool. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, I like cars. I don't have one partially because of economic reasons. I've literally never made like poverty line level income. I think like right now on Patreon it's the closest I've ever been to making the equivalent of minimum wage in Florida. So that's where I'm at. Like, I couldn't afford car insurance payments, let alone car payments. But even if I had one, I have like moral issues with just like what we're doing to the planet, and I would feel guilty. I realize that at a certain level, it's not really personal responsibility, right? Like, what is it, like 70% of pollution is like 100 companies or something?
Yeah, the idea that you are even in the tiniest degree, like even close to being as responsible. I'm sorry, you're making your point. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's like statistically, it's not anything that I would need to worry about, and I don't judge anyone else for having a car. That's preposterous.
Look,
but
Austin,
yeah.
Every time you leave a room, turn the light out so that every single car lot and like commercial fucking lot can keep all their lights on all night long and even into the day. So just like be responsible, okay?
I mean, you can ask anyone who's ever lived with me. I am psychotically obsessive about turning everything off in the house. But that's just my fucking neuroses and mental illness. I have this thing where I think
I live in the dark.
I think we're gonna look back in like 100 years and see like movies where everyone's driving around in cars and cringe a little bit.
You think we're gonna live 100 years? That's adorable.
Yeah. It was just a lot of hubris to invent the automobile and then build every society and every city on Earth around it so quickly. Anyway, that's a completely different thing. If tomorrow someone gave me a car for free, I would drive it. I guess so. Everything else I said is fucking garbage. Anyway, throw that in the dumpster. It's mostly economical, and I have driven before, and it's fine. It's mostly other people that make it dangerous.
I had a friend who once said to me that, pardon, accidents don't happen when somebody does something stupid. Accidents happen when two people do two separate stupid things at the same time, at the same location.
Did you guys see, this just literally happened before we started recording, but there was a crash at a race, and I believe the driver was like a 17-year-old woman, and she broke her spine. Did you guys see this?
No.
No, but for fuck's sakes, like...
Yeah.
I'm gonna get in the car and drive as fast as I can.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen to someone. Little sympathy.
Right okay.
Johnny has a lot of big pauses. No, it's just...
I know. I never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
It just reminded me, like, this isn't even necessarily that related. I just saw this video of, I just looked it up, German teen Sophia Florsch, age 17, suffers spinal fracture in 270 kilometers per hour Formula 3 crash. And if you see this video, her car just gets, like, tapped by another one, and it basically fucking takes off into the sky.
273 fucking kilometers an hour?
Yeah, and basically when she...
What's that in real speed?
That is real speed, Leon.
It might as well be infinity, right? Like,
okay, I just looked it up. It's
right.
106. It's 169.6 miles per hour.
Okay, fake speed then.
The car is facing backwards by the time it hit the announcer's booth, which, I mean, a bunch of those people are in critical condition as well. This has nothing to do with the question. This is just a fucking current event thing that happened. But I saw the video, and it's like at certain speeds, like the human mind is not great at even grasping the way physics interact.
Man,
like,
I can't even wake up in the morning.
Yeah, it's just terrifying to see someone going that fast. Yeah, I used to watch a lot of auto racing too. I don't do so much anymore. I don't have any free time. But anyway, that's the thing. If you want to know when this episode was recorded, the day of that crash. Yeah, great. That's a great light note to go out on, huh?
Yeah. Thanks, Austin.
I'm sorry. She-Ra, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all over the place.
And, I mean, you guys should watch at least the first part of the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah,
I'm sure I will very soon. Right before we go, because I don't want to end on like a sad note, I just want everyone to know, and this is true. At first, I thought it was like a satirical article, but it's not. Apparently, in the Grand Slam World Dart Championship that just happened,
yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, there is a controversy because one of the two guys farted, but neither of them will take responsibility for it. And it's creating a huge argument over it. Maybe someone farted in order to upset the other one.
Both of them smelt it, but neither will admit to dealing it.
Yeah, it's I just want everyone to know that happened, and also that darts is a thing. Outside of bars and with your friends. That's fine, I guess. Okay, anything you guys want to say right before we go?
Yeah. Stay safe, trans people in Ontario. Because I know that Doug Ford or Rob Ford or whatever the fuck he is coming for you. Stay safe.
Austin, anything?
Do you guys see the article that apparently someone thought Condoleezza Rice was going to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, I did.
2018 is on meth.
What is all right? Here's how little I know about team sports. What does head coach do?
I mean, a lot. You basically do all the planning of like how you're gonna play, and you have
is that the person who's like on the field and shouting?
Yes.
Oh, so like that's like the person who's like in charge, and like in movies, they're the one that is giving the speech in the locker room.
She's
Yes.
gonna talk shit.
Okay. Oh, okay. Cool. All right. I just wasn't sure. That's neat. Does she have any sports experience?
I don't know off the top of my head. I assume everyone listening knows that she was the Secretary of State, which is not necessarily a transferable skill set, but I mean, I'm sure she's a fan.
Look,
It's an
Austin,
impressive job.
It's a step up.
I mean, she does know a lot about dropping bombs, so.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. She also knows a lot about siding with a loser.
Take that, everyone.
Yeah.
Cleveland Browns, George Bush, everyone get owned.
All right.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can leave now. On 3?
Right here it says she was on the college football playoff selection committee.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, then,
okay.
I mean, respectable.
Yeah, good enough.
I mean, yeah, she's a fan of the game. But just the idea she would jump to head coach is only in America could just be a famous person and get that kind of job just for being famous.
Man, fuck all you guys.
Now that your roses